what these teachers are looking for isn't necessarily perfection, it's potential.
Secret for winning cello auditions?
So once the results are out, how do you choose what school to go to?
My mom once tried giving me like this jade thing.
Does it work?
So my mom gave it to me. So here's the story.
Did not practice very much for my Juilliard audition. I want you to guess how much I was practicing per day.
If you are not a musician, what would you be?
How were your essays?
It's brutal.
大家好，欢迎来到 Cello Coco.
Woo! Awesome!
Nailed it.
Okay, hi everyone. Welcome back to Cello Coco channel. Look who is here!
Yay!
Let's welcome back Kevin Lee.
Hello.
And Jacob Joyce.
Hi.
So since you guys love them so much, I was forced to invite you guys back. Otherwise, I wouldn't.
We are responsible for half of your viewerships. So
Yeah, right.
it is our civic duty to be back on this channel. Please don't. That sounds so bad. Please do not include any of that. We read every single one of the comments.
Yeah, if you got something to say, you can just leave
Throw it down below.
Who is your favorite member of the video?
choose between those three.
We'll probably lose. It's probably Cello Coco.
It's probably Cello Coco. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe.
I have to say though, last time I came back straight from Taiwan after staying there for like 6 months.
Yes, your English is
Your English is
exponentially better right now.
My English was so bad at that time. Not that I'm good now, but
You're
It's
amazing
very good.
now.
It's, the English is very
Your
good.
English is still better than my Chinese somehow.
since last time we did this video about the differences between schools, Curtis and Coburn,
Yep.
Juilliard and MSM, and Yale and NEC.
Got it.
Whoa. If you haven't watched the previous video we did about the schools, you should watch that. I'll put the link up here. Okay. So today we're going to talk about how to get into music schools. So how did you decide what schools to apply to?
Of all the schools I applied to universities and also music schools separately. My
Oh, you
dad,
did?
I applied to universities too.
Oh.
But my dad is a professor in a university. I always grew up very academia focused, in addition to the violin stuff. So I was given the option of both. So I applied for all the usual stuff, Common Apps, SATs, that stuff. Since this is a music channel, let's talk about the music stuff. Just the usual. I did Manhattan School because I did pre-college there. Juilliard because I've always wanted to be lower in Manhattan than 122nd Street. NEC because Boston sounded really cool. I applied for Curtis, but I ended up not taking the audition because I actually didn't have everything memorized in time.
Oh.
So that's yeah.
We'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about that later. And I also did Colburn. I don't know what kids call it these days, but that was like the Curtis of the West because everything was free,
Right.
small school. All the schools are very hard to get into, but I think acceptance rate wise, this school is a little extra hard to get into. And if I remember correctly, those are the 5 or 6 schools that I applied to. CIM, Cleveland Institute of Music. I also applied there too. Wait, and IU. I also applied to IU too. I think that's like 7. So yeah.
But how did you choose those schools?
Well, I think that's the usual bunch.
okay.
Like all my friends were also doing it. I went to
Right.
Aspen for many years, so a lot of my friends are also applying to music schools at the same time.
Right.
We all asked around, it's like, oh, what schools are you applying to? Another big factor to consider is also what professor, what teacher you're applying to, and all of these schools have great teachers. I think it really just came down to what city I wanted to live in, what school I got into, and like what the finances are.
Right. Okay. So what about you? What's your reason?
Well, as we know from the previous video, I ended up going to academic college. So where I applied was a little different, although I did audition for Juilliard, Michigan, where I'm from. I think those are the only 2 violin auditions I played. I was trying to only apply to schools where I could do a double degree, some sort of academic degree and a music degree. But I ended up going to Yale. But I mean, the way I decided places was a combo of specific teacher that I really wanted to study with, name, recognition, and like where people were applying, how prestigious it was. I didn't practice very much at all in high school, and so
But you still got to Juilliard for undergrad, right?
got into Juilliard for undergrad.
Yeah, so still practiced enough to get into Juilliard.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's my
genius right here.
That's my claim to fame. That I got into Juilliard for
Turned him
undergrad.
down and then went to Yale.
Turned him down.
That's acceptable at this point.
If I can brag a little bit.
Yes,
Yeah.
please. He doesn't brag very often, so this is, you take it where you can.
Yeah,
This is the only thing in my life that I'm proud enough about to brag about.
sure. Go ahead.
Did not practice very much for my Juilliard audition. I want you to guess how much I was practicing per day.
He seems like a naturally talented kid, though.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say like
30
30
minutes.
minutes.
Okay, that's good. I was practicing more. I was practicing more than that, so we're good. But a lot of people were practicing like 4 or 5 hours a day
Right.
leading
Right.
up to. Realistically, I practiced like consistently an hour and a half a day
Oh,
Okay.
in high school.
Okay.
But it's like efficient practicing. We could make a whole nother video about like practicing.
Yeah, Ko, you grew up in outside of Taichung,
Yeah?
kind of a rural area in
What?
Taiwan.
Where did I grow up? Do you remember the city, the name of the city?
Taichung.
No, it's not.
It's outside of Taichung.
Yeah.
Your school was
What is it?
Stella something school.
Stella Matutina.
Stella
What?
Matutina Girls School.
Girls High School.
It's a girls' high school.
小民女中。
So
Okay.
Ko grew up going to an all-girls high school where they took naps in the middle of
That's
the
a-
day.
Yeah, I mean every school in Taiwan.
You can always
We
take
all
naps.
we have nap time. You
Yeah,
didn't
high
know?
school too?
They have
Yeah.
high school
Really?
Yeah.
nap time.
So it's from
My dad told me
12
something different.
It's from 12:40 to 1:10. That's
Unbelievable.
like everyone.
Everyone gets
needs
30-minute nap time.
behind the
you need to,
scenes.
like-
Behind the scenes for all of the Cello Coco viewers.
She
Ko
still takes
still
naps.
takes naps every day.
Of course. You guys just don't
No,
need.
I almost never take
She
naps.
has
Well,
the sleep schedule of a 6-year-old.
if I take naps if I'm really free. If I've got nothing to do, then I will take naps because I'm bored.
Oh,
But if I'm
okay.
super busy, like I don't need to take naps.
I feel like I haven't taken a nap in about 12 years.
Okay. Yeah. Every time if we have like double rehearsals.
You go home and you take a nap.
No, I try to take a nap.
massage chair?
Yes.
You always take. Where's the massage chair?
Downstairs at the basement.
Okay, secret for winning cello auditions, take naps.
Yeah, that's the point.
That's the point. But anyways, to get back to the question. You grew up
Right.
humble beginnings in rural Taiwan, a little kid trying to make your way in
Right.
a tough world.
Uh-huh.
How did you know where to apply and take the scary jump to come to the US?
Yeah, so that's the question I got asked a lot. My cello teacher in Taiwan, she graduated from MSM. She suggested me to apply
I see.
to the school. Ask around your friends and teachers. On YouTube, you can watch my channel.
You know what's better? Don't ask your friends and teachers. Just ask your questions in the comment section below.
And Ko will get back to you.
Ko will personally get back to you.
Leave a
Yeah.
detailed message with your instrument, what you're playing right now, and we will send you a recommended list of schools to apply.
And if you wanted a personalized emailed list from Jacob Joyce or I, please Venmo $5 to Cello Coco.
Like,
Currently only accepting Dogecoin.
Yes,
Bitcoin.
please send
Bitcoin.
us.
Yeah.
so once the results are out, how do you choose what school to go to?
When I applied, in my mind, I already had a ranking. For me personally, like, I think school name was the second choice.
Okay.
Most important for me was teacher. So like,
Right.
I found it more important. It's like, oh, I studied with this teacher. It would say if I went to like Juilliard with a teacher that maybe didn't like me or I didn't get along with, like, I would much rather go to a lesser named school, but study with a teacher that I really want to.
Yeah.
Because what we do is all performance based. Honestly, now that we're all in the same orchestra, like I don't know where half these people went to school.
I was just gonna say, I think maybe that's the single most important thing is that when you're choosing your school, whatever you can do to figure out where you're actually gonna get the best is more important than anything else.
Yeah.
Right.
The education is way more important
Yeah.
than the actual name of the school.
It doesn't mean that the name of the school doesn't matter sometimes. Like there are moments in a professional career where people look at where you went to school. And
It'll
that
get your foot
matters.
through the door.
Yeah. But ultimately the most important thing by far is
You're playing.
you're playing. So wherever's you're gonna get best at playing.
Yeah.
Right. So teachers, I would say
Is
the
number
top.
one for me.
Yeah.
When you're trying to evaluate who's gonna be a good teacher for you, you also have to be kind of self-critical and think about what's going to make you the best, not necessarily who's going to, for example, make you feel the best. You know, there are a lot of people, I think, who study with teachers that make them feel comfortable and who are easy for them and stuff like that, and sometimes that's great, but sometimes you need a teacher who's going to push you a little bit. And so I think it's important to actually think really closely about what type of teacher you want and then try to find that.
Right.
Goes without saying, but if you have the resources to go and take lessons, trial lessons with teachers, that is very, very valuable.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if you guys had lessons before your auditions.
For some schools I did.
Right.
So I went to high school in New Jersey. So obviously it was easy for me to get to know the teachers around New York and Boston because that's all very close. But I was seriously taking a look at Colbert, and I had never been to Los Angeles, and I didn't know the teacher there. So like I grew up fortunate enough where my parents could allow me a trip to Los Angeles and take a lesson with this guy. Everything worked out, and I ended up going there because I enjoyed studying with the teacher. I enjoyed Los Angeles. The school is free too, so everything did work out.
Yeah, I think summer festivals, if you're able to go,
yes.
you can get to know teachers,
Right.
but those cost money too. What I would say,
There are free ones.
There are free ones.
Yeah.
That's a good point. If
Yeah.
you're as good as Co, then you can just
Yes.
get your way into Verbier.
You want to list off what festivals you got
Yeah,
to?
I went
Subtleflex.
a lot.
Verbier,
PMF?
PLF.
PMF. Is that it?
Schleswig.
Schleswig, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, flexing over here.
Sarasota.
Sarasota.
Music Academy of the
You've been
West.
to all, okay, the next
Yeah.
next installment's gonna be about summer festivals.
Yeah, I was thinking about doing
Okay,
that actually.
great. Next video, I promise I will tell this story of my audition for Verbier Festival,
Nice.
which is incredible. Teaser, I only played for about 15 seconds. What I would suggest for people is, in addition to summer festivals, if you can do them to try to get to know teachers, goes for applying to academic schools as well. For people who are trying to save some money or they just don't have endless time or resources or something like that, you can find out a lot about teachers and schools just by asking.
Right.
You should audition for as many as you can, and once you've gotten in to the places that you've gotten into, if you can visit them then, I think that's really valuable. Take trial lessons with the teachers that you actually got into, because I know for a lot of academic schools in the US, for example, it's very standard for people to go on college visits all around the country and visit tons of schools and try to find the ones that they like before they even apply. And then they don't get into 3/4 of those anyways. And it's expensive and they wasted their money. For me, I think it's more worthwhile to apply to as many as you can, try to get into as many as you can, and then go visit and try to make up your mind once you know where you've actually gotten in.
Right.
But
Right.
take as many auditions as you can, send as many recordings as you can.
Right.
Yeah, also because the audition lists are all like the same. So you can just like practice the whole package and go to auditions. What's the preparation like?
I started my preparation about a year before. At that point in my career, that was like the most intense thing that I've ever done.
Right.
My teacher started me on like Tchaikovsky, Bach, all this stuff like I've been like sporadically learning from year before or something like that, but I've been preparing for a long time. Playing student recitals, making sure I got performance opportunities before I even played for another teacher actually. So made sure that every single time I had a trial lesson, the trial lessons were like the actual audition. Because you have to show up 100% prepared. You can't show up to like a trial lesson with like Robert Lipsit at the Colburn School and be like, hey, I've only been learning this 2 weeks. I promise you it'd be good in like 8 months.
Right.
Yeah, realistically, trial lessons are like the pre-audition.
Yeah, that's your first impression, and first impressions are very important.
Like what Kevin said, the more you can recreate actual performance scenarios in your preparation is maybe the most important thing, because you only get one chance at your auditions. And so if you're nervous, like most people are, it helps to have practice under those conditions. If you're just in your practice room all day and then suddenly you have to step out in front of a panel, a lot of times people struggle with that. So I think that's super important, especially for undergrad auditions, but the same goes for orchestra auditions. They're really good schools. On one hand, the level's really high. On another hand, the level is not that high. What you need to be able to do is just execute. And so if you can practice the pieces, if you can play a piece in tune with good musical ideas, even if it's just one piece and you can do that in the audition, you'll probably get in. It's when you can't really execute. You don't have to have some amazing interpretation of the Tchaikovsky concerto. You just have to play it in tune, in time, with good ideas, and you'll probably get in. And so I think that's important, just practicing the execution over and over and over again.
Yeah, I was gonna say all the teachers and faculties and juries who are listening to you, they all want you to play well.
Yes.
Yes.
100%.
Once I have that mindset, then I feel more comfortable and more confident while playing. So just remember that they want to hear good music from you and want to know who you are, your personality through your music.
I have a piece of advice,
Okay?
which I learned when I was a very young kid that has helped me immensely. The first competition I ever played on the violin when I was like 10 years old or something, I had never played in like a competition before or anything like that. Bruch Violin Concerto, which Kevin and I performed with the ISO just a few months ago.
Vimeo link below with Jacob conducting. And
Link below. So when I played, I was 10 years old and I was really nervous. And I stared at the judge of the competition the entire time. And he had this like resting frown on his face. He was just a grumpy looking guy. And I walked out of there and I started crying immediately, went to my parents because I was like, he hated it, he looked upset the whole time, blah, blah, blah. And I ended up getting like 3rd place or something in the
Nice.
competition. Did decently well.
very good.
But I learned the guy actually liked my playing. He wrote on his thing that he liked my playing and he looked really pissed off the entire time. So never look at the judges and know that they want you to do well, like Ko said.
That's another piece of advice that I would give. You have to understand what you are doing as part of the audition. You are looking to join a teacher's studio, and the teacher is also looking to recruit students that he or she personally thinks they can teach. So what these teachers are looking for isn't necessarily perfection, it's potential.
Right.
That's the most important thing. No one cares if you can, I mean, yeah, if you can play perfectly well and you can do all that stuff, great. That just shows you know how to pair things properly. But what these people are really looking for is potential. So if you can go in and you can show that you're a willing student, especially in your trial lessons, if you're collaborative, the teachers are much more likely to be like, oh, I can work with the student. But if you show up to your trial lesson and it's like, no, I just play it this way. I like it this way. I'm not going to change it. Then what's the point of like that teacher taking you?
Yeah.
Right.
It does nothing for them. So being collaborative, being amicable and like likable to work with and showing a lot of potentials, that is going to give you so much success on the audition circuit.
So the timeline is important. You have to know like when the application
Oh,
deadline
yes.
is,
Oh, yeah.
which is December 1st.
Wow,
Okay, so
Right.
prepared for the
I
video.
don't remember any of this.
Wow, look at
You
that.
don't?
I remember this.
Really?
You remember? This was over 10 years ago.
Because like so many people ask me questions about that. So.
Wow, did
Right.
some research
Some-
right before the video.
Got a phone under here.
You gotta know like December 1st is the application deadline, and also like when to send the pre-screen and
Yes.
stuff, the recommendation letters.
It is very important
Right, and then
to
essays.
read all that stuff.
Right.
Oh, essays.
What?
How are your essays?
It's brutal.
If you're applying to a lot of schools, actually making a spreadsheet with all of the dates for
Right.
all of the schools so that you don't miss anything, because that can be very complicated. A lot of times when you're applying, you have like a forms date, pre-screening date, you get your result back date, your audition date, like you have to keep track of all that stuff so you don't miss anything.
What do you usually do before going on stage?
I've had many different ones over the years. So I have had lucky socks.
Red?
No, it's just like I know what pair of socks it is because it has like a specific hole somewhere. Like I've had that. I've had a lucky tie. So like I've would always wear the same tie.
Uh-huh.
My mom once tried giving me like this jade thing.
Oh, does it work?
So my mom gave it to me. So here's the story. Here's the story.
If you said it worked, Ko would believe it.
No one would believe it. No, but my mom was like, "This is gonna work. This is gonna work. You take this. You're gonna put it in your pocket, like super pocket, and then you're gonna play, and it's gonna be great."
Yeah. And
when I played, it was horrible. So I didn't. I was like, okay, so this is the bad luck one. So I never used it again.
Oh. Okay.
But I have a different one now. I didn't use this for school, but actually running before concerts makes me so calm when I actually perform. Like if I run before the concert, like once you get there, everything is just like.
Yeah, I like that one too. I think that's.
You bike, right? Do you do some biking?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I like exercising before the concert. Trying to get as good of a night's sleep as possible. As you perform more and more, you get better at it, I think. But I also think it's important to practice that pre-concert routine to find something that, like the running thing that you said, if it's something that actually works and helps, then you should definitely stick to it.
I was gonna say about the exercise. I really think that exercise helps you to release your stress.
Yes.
Both physically and mentally, I think. If you have the routine for exercise, then you should definitely do that.
It's also a good way to just not focus on how nervous you're gonna be. It's a good like distractor.
My thought is if you're able to push yourself to do challenging things when you're exercising, you're also better equipped to deal with tough situations potentially. When you're playing like a big long concerto or something, like endurance, it's focus, it's that mental focus, it's the equivalent of being able to like one thing that's really hard for me when I go swimming is that you can't listen to anything. You have to just swim. All you have to focus on is your own thoughts about like how hard it is. Like if you're playing a really long concerto, that's an endurance feat and it's tricky, and you know, I think exercise definitely helps with that. But it also, just like you said, makes you relax for the performance.
First piece you play, they will probably ask you to choose.
Usually.
Right?
Yeah, pick a concerto where you can start, like Brahms is a tough one to just cold hit the first page.
Mendelssohn is also very hard.
Mendelssohn is very exposed and very hard. Sibelius, pretty easy to start.
Pretty easy to start. Tchaikovsky's also pretty easy to start.
Pretty start, you get your nerves out.
So I would say start with whatever you feel the most comfortable.
And specifically the first minute.
Yeah.
Right.
No Haydn D. It's always out of tune for cellists.
Did anything happen in your auditions?
Anything bad?
The one I can remember, I was auditioning for a master's at Yale. It was always around like February, March, very cold weather.
Yeah.
And so when I was auditioning for a master's, I lived in LA, but then I went to New Haven to do my audition. So very warm weather, very cold weather. And weather affects, obviously you guys know this, weather affects instruments quite a bit. And so I remember I started with Bach G minor, and when I, so when I was tuning, everything was fine. First thing, E string slipped to E flat. And you get noticeable, but the thing is, like, it was just slightly flat. Like I tried adjusting, and it was like slightly flat, and I could tell because I think Ani Kavatian could see that something was happening.
Okay, well, what did you do?
I played the whole thing, but I just adjusted for the entire E string, and it actually, I mean, like, some of it was not great, but like, I was very impressed with that audition.
I'm impressed that you were able to do that,
Right.
but I would also say, if something like that happens, if you're not so nervous that you're able to think for yourself, and you remember what we said, that the faculty wants you to do well, you can always stop and just say, my string just slipped, I'm just gonna fix it really quickly.
Yeah.
Right.
No one would ever get upset with you for doing that. And if something happens right at the beginning of the audition and it like an emergency, just fix it.
When you go to these auditions, you have to have like next level confidence, like
Yeah.
blinding confidence, where you could be like, there could be a train going across the entire hall, and you would still just be playing.
Right.
There's two approaches. There's I'm blindly confident, and that's great.
Yeah.
The two times I've played the best is I'm super confident, or there's no chance. I'm just gonna play.
Yes, that's true.
The worst is I think there's a chance, but I have to play really well.
That's If you think, then it's like it's already it's gone.
Right.
Did anything bad happen in your audition?
Plenty. Auditioning for Tanglewood, bunch of excerpts, got to the famous second violin Bartók Concerto for Orchestra excerpt, the one that boom, boom, boom.
Oh, yeah.
I'm playing this.
We're playing that this
This
week.
week.
You're supposed to play that on the G string
yeah.
only. I didn't know that, so I just played the whole excerpt in first position. Really easy, no problem. They stopped me at the end and said, like, what are you doing? And made me play the whole thing on the G string, which
Just
I
to
hadn't
make an
practiced
example.
at all. So that was pretty bad. I've been in several warm-up rooms for auditions where I'm hearing someone play through like the excerpts, and I hear from them playing that I had been practicing a wrong note.
That happens a lot.
Oh,
that
yes.
happens a lot.
Right.
Devastating.
Yes.
Try to the best of your ability to know all the right notes before you take an audition. That's always helpful.
Right.
All right,
No?
Cello Coco.
Okay.
Any rough audition stories?
So you know that auditions are always in February or March.
Yes.
So I was auditioning in New York and it was snowing.
Okay.
And I have my cello with me and I didn't leave myself enough time. So you should definitely leave yourself enough
Don't
time.
rush.
Don't rush.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was rushing to catch the train, to catch the subway. The floor is really slippery with the snow.
Yeah.
And I just fell.
Oh my god. Slip on your cello?
So luckily, I fell sideways, not backwards.
That reminds me when I was auditioning for NEC conducting, there was a winter storm that dumped like 5 feet of snow. My Amtrak was delayed like 5 hours, got into Boston at 2 a.m. and the audition was at 9 a.m. and they couldn't cancel the audition. So I did it on like 5 hours of sleep and still got accepted.
Yeah, but that's an example of like so much has gone wrong.
Yes.
Let's just see what
Then
happens.
you just go in and see what happens. Ultimately, that's part of the thing about auditions too. They happen on one day and anything can happen on the day. Something is inevitably gonna go wrong and you just have to be prepared for that.
Roll with the punches.
And in the end, you don't wanna be the person who's saying, I didn't get it because... Instead, be the person who says, I got it even though it was raining.
If you are not a musician, what would you be?
Formula One driver.
Professional athlete
Yeah.
Oh.
of some kind.
Of what sport?
Oh, yeah,
Maybe
of
like a professional golfer.
football. Oh.
Not
Golfer.
football. Golf, you like very little injury risk of any kind. You make tons of money. You get to just walk all day on these beautiful
driven.
courses or be driven. Very little risk to your body. You
Sponsored
can-
by Rolex.
Sponsored by Rolex. You can play for a long time. People play golf into their 50s. I think that would be a pretty solid career. I take that back.
What?
I'd be a professional chess player.
All
I
right.
love chess. Get
Okay.
to sit down, look someone else in the eye, and then try to dominate them on the chessboard. There's nothing more fun than that.
I would like to be
Wait,
what?
let me guess.
Wait, can we both get one? We both
We
get
both get one guess.
2 guesses.
Okay.
YouTuber. You are a professional YouTuber.
I think you would like to be a fisher.
Why?
I feel like that's a career that would be good for you. You just kind
You
of
think?
sit out there with your fishing pole. It's very chill. Everything's fine. You have no worries in the world. You just catch fish and sit out on the water all day.
Sounds good.
Okay, my second guess is I don't know, something very introverted because this one can stay indoors for 7 days and never leave her apartment.
Yes, that did happen.
Rice farmer.
Isn't that what you want to do?
That's my dream.
Yeah.
Second one, day trader.
Ooh,
Trading stocks
that's a really
as
good
your
answer.
job. I think that's a serious possibility.
All right, what is the actual
Yeah,
one?
What is
I
it?
think you guys are not gonna believe
Okay, what is it?
it.
What
but-
is it?
So I would be a tour guide.
For what?
With Taizong?
No, just for all over the world.
Oh, you mean like
Oh,
like on
professional.
like a cruise ship or something? Different places?
Yeah.
You should be a travel YouTuber.
I should. I've been thinking.
Think
of
about it.
this.
That would be incredible. Like everyone follow me.
Yeah, like hey.
Hey.
Follow the teddy bear.
Cello Coco.
Let's meet here at 8:30.
Yeah. On your left, this is Indianapolis's State Museum. I've never been there because I sit in my apartment all day editing videos.
Okay, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching and thank you guys for being here with me.
Yep.
Of course. Thanks so much for having us.
Always a pleasure.
And please
like it and
subscribe.
Please
Jello Coca.
leave the comments below. If you guys leave enough comments down below, Jacob and I will be happy to join Cello Coco again to answer any and all of your questions.
记得帮我按赞、订阅跟打开小铃铛，那就下次见喽，拜拜。
Bye.
大家好. No. One more time.
How? This.
好。
大家好.
Yeah.
Okay. You have to cut just you saying. So I like swimming. I like swimming.
So I like swimming. You guys say it one more.
I tried.
It's too much.
So I just need to make this face.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just go.
Swimming.
Yeah, exactly.